Dear distinguished guests, panelists, hello. I will start first of all by a short survey that will take us into this panel. And I will say this. The world is going through a technological revolution, as we just have heard from Dr. Sobelman. This revolution is designing and shaping not only the competition strategically and expanding the concepts of security for states, but also is reshaping economies, changing military, and redefining the battlefield, the present and future battlefield. Israel as well is standing at a crossroads, at this critical crossroad. But unlike other states, the innovation does not take place here at a void. It is developed from the very challenging defense reality and under an ongoing threatening, which is also our advantage, our strength. For you, the technological leadership in Israel until this very day grew from the defense innovation. Cyber is just one example. The Israeli the defense industry led us to strength and development and power in Israel that has truly grew to be an innovative military power. What is the role of technology in national security is what we will try to understand in this panel. I'm very happy to have you panelists with me. I want to present the first topic that we will start with as the title of the panel, Innovation Under Fire. Israel, after many years, we thought the great wars of multi-arena are behind us. Then October 7th has proven that to us that we need to go back to the defense area that is setting in the center the industry, the military industry, and we must put more budgets into military and military developments. And it's very clear that this year has been very challenging for IMI, and where you required more just as you go on your feet while shooting. And this was an integral part of the field of battle of taking stupid bombs and make them smart bombs and finding solutions to UAV threats that has become very meaningful in the home front command as well as in the battlefield. And I want to start with you, Eytan. How is the IAI harnessed science and development in its innovation center for the efforts of the war?
Thank you. One of the advantages of Israel is that it is small and informal, and the timeline between operational requirement and a technological answer is very short. And this, following your introduction, one of the strengths of Israel, the ability to understand what the operational gap is and how to close it. And our innovation center in IAI usually looks long term to revolutionary issues, disruptive technologies 10, 15 years into the future. Swords of Iron brought needs and necessities for here and now that need fast answers. Understanding the gap is because we have 20% of our people that were recruited into the reserves, drafted and sent to war. And together with our partners, we understood very fast where the gaps are to lead the fast solutions. So beyond systems that are already being used, we built a program very fast to bring all the forces of IAI in R&D, those that were not recruited, those that were still with us, and to bring these swift solutions. We created very swift cycles. We did a very special programs of the MOD R&D, people that were in university, and they helped us to accelerate. And very swiftly, we brought places of technological answers with UAVs, like you saw. We demonstrated to the Ministry of Defense a month ago very good capabilities, amazing capabilities that were demonstrated there. And there are many other things still to be launched that have been shown. This ability, the informal ability to have this discourse with the security apparatus, understand the gaps and the needs, and to rein in the R&D to bring swift solutions. This is what we do. This brought dramatic change. Some of them are the speak, and some we will see very soon. Thank you, Eytan. Shuki, we had a strategic surprise, and this touched also on technological issues, and not only. What were the lessons that we found with the failures in the systems, and what is the follow-up? This is one question. And the second question, besides achievements, how did you cope with the fact that your employees created a combined language between the tank operator, or tankers, and the industry how did this help with the operational effort? I think the story of industries very deeply embedded, as Eytan said, with the requirement they need to action. Most importantly, that the mediator between all this is this operator, the person. It could be an employee, an engineer, an Elbit, or in another defense related industry. This engineer can also be in the reserves. For instance, a weapons operator. This weapon system may be for tanks. And through this process, this engineer is able to sense the gap in the field as demonstrated, in fact, by using this specific this component, this spice, if you may, in Israel is the biggest asset that we have. And if you look in the demonstration that happened from 7th October until today, the state was able to do what we did. The IDF was able to do what they did, contrary to maybe previous speakers that talked about threats and the political echelon. Here there was no political echelon and decisions. Here it was just operational. The operational process was reining in, using the resources, and answering the gaps very quickly. This was also thanks to the IDF and a lot to MAFAT, to MOD, to R&D and MOD. We sit together, answer these challenges together, and we're able to hone our abilities and capabilities and advantage operational effectiveness. I think that it's a great surprise because we're not a body that is used to regulations or we are a competitive body. Companies, industry is competitive. It is used to understand what's happening with the needs out in the market and how to turn these needs or these gaps into a competitive advantage. This demonstration is exactly that, using the R&D, what the track that companies use was demonstrated in this operation since the 7th until today. And as we said, we have been blessed with the ability to immune our systems. They functioned better. They're widely used, very dispersed. To help with precision or turn them into more precision. It relates to mortars, to tank shells. And we're able to fix and improve and immune and make them more effective, for instance, using UAVs. Thank you very much. Neil, it's clear that disruptive or equation disrupting technologies are the question here. What did you develop that you can tell us about? And I know there's a lot you can't tell us about. Yes, thank you for the question. There is always a problem when you come to introduce Rafael. You can talk about 5% of what's happening, and we say that this is the tip of the iceberg. So there are things that we all know that are produced by Rafael, like Iron Dome, that we all are used to living in its presence under heavy rocket fire and continue to conduct our lives, which is incredible. And Rafael sees itself on the operational and technological need. So this connection that my predecessors here spoke about is the main characteristic of the state of Israel. And within this, we operate in Rafael. At least as far as we see it, the problematic points or the challenges of the IDF were in 3 or 4 dimensions that we focused our efforts in order to assist the IDF. One is dealing with UAVs or drones, from the identification and tracking until the interception, all these phases. Without getting too much into details, I imagine that in the next few weeks or months we will hear more. I think we reached, together with the IDF, the IAF, and the ground forces, to dramatic achievements. The subterranean warfare that the IDF decided to go underground and engage this threat underground, this is a substantial process, building abilities while fighting. We all read how the IDF fights in the subterranean There's a lot of connection between the operational demander with the fighters in the field, what they need, how much they need, and also here we focused our people with our engineers and our R&D people. And the third is utilizing intelligence. How from the ocean, the vision of intelligence, you distill understandings, insights. It took weeks to sift through this vast ocean of information, and now within minutes you can organize the information and enable the operator to make decisions. Thank you very much.
Roni, you at Oz. In fact, I will say one of the super shapers or super topics that influence this war is the startup and defense tech that have also responded very quickly and just got into the battlefield. Could you share with us about the uniqueness of their response and your response in that context?
Gladly. I think the fact that already 7 or 8 years ago, when Yaron Ashkenazi, we talked about dual use, it enabled us to be in two worlds at the same time. Also in a regular routine world to do business in the civilian world, but also through partnerships with the security apparatus to have use cases in the security dimension and use it in both fields. Several components have been used. Some are older, some are newer, and also startups, newer and older. The war opened on October 7th like a security field. We opened up a war room. And what this war room creates is integration of all the startups in this multi-stage effort that I talked about at all levels, and try to see what can be done, what can help the security needs of Israel. Because of our close discourse with the security organizations, we see the needs, and I would say a wonderful or amazing connection of technologies. There's a need that can be solved. Wonderful. We bring it. Doesn't matter if it's command and control or something that has to do with precision or incrimination. And remember, these are things that are taken from the civilian world and even threats in the world. This is something that we maybe can talk about here. Some things I'm not sure that I know what the IDF wants me to speak about, but let's talk about threats worldwide that have become more significant. I'm talking about threats to Israeli assets abroad. Very quickly, we brought three startups together. We had an integrative effort to solve a problem that is of the security apparatus. One startup is in the lead because they are more close to fruition, and the others are behind, but working together. This is, if you don't have a VC in startups, it's hard to work this way. And of course, it's difficult for startups to knock on the door of the security establishment. So this was a place where startups had an advantage. It's fast, it's flexible, it can create fast solutions. And when it's a VC that's venture capital that leads it, we can even act pro bono and get some grace from the fund to solve the national effort, because usually you don't have a lot of funds.
Hilla, how do you think the events of October 7th and the war influence innovativeness in the military industries? I think that October 7th is on the one hand very strong because this is the strength of Israel today. It's IMI. And on the other hand, October 7th truly proved to us that surprise will be complete and always complete. And so we must understand how we should prepare ourselves that is not obvious to us. And the second thing is that we were challenged not in technology. The technologies that challenged us mostly, that the toughest points are at the low tech. And it's what we called the democratization of technology. Suddenly, a drone or with very simple autonomic abilities is very, very accessible. And sure, all the military industries and, of course, the IDF knew how to adapt. But we've seen that at the high end, at the Iranian rocket night, we were fine. We were just fine. And at the very advanced technologies, we have a great advantage. And I'm saying this to understand that we need to remember that the national security and the connection between national security and technology is IMI. But the world has proved to us that it's not the only one. The next wars that will be fought in technological arenas that are not the classical IMI arenas, but not necessarily when it comes to weapon systems. And as more we go towards desalination and food as solutions that are more technological, and the arena of the social networks might be the first one to attack us today. TikTok, everybody understands today, I believe, is a weapon that China has developed for many years with no interruption because we didn't see it as weapon. So I think, one, we see that the strength, the main pillar in Israel's security technologies, the IMI was already mentioned before me by everyone, is very strong, and this war has proven it and strengthened it. But we cannot just lean on this sole pillar. It's just the one pillar. The second pillar, technologies that are significant for security, fusion, synthetic biology, energy, space, that are not military per se, per excellence, are not weapons, are still critical to Israel's national security. Our neighbors and our enemies are very developed in those, and we must see how we do it, because this is not our natural channel for technological strength, which is IMI. We must see how we strengthen this pillar, because the next surprise, once again, will come from an unpredictable angle. So thank you, Hilla. And you're truly bringing a segue, or giving me a segue to the next question and the next topic that I want to discuss, which is truly AI. And that is, in fact, not only the next battlefield, but in fact, the whole revolution that is taking over the world. And during the past few years, we've seen AI entering security and defense. And this is quite a leap forward that completely changes the battlefield, starting with gathering intelligence and running autonomous weapon system. It really also has to do with the lives of our fighters, because there's also an attempt here to minimize death of soldiers, minimize the risks for the forces in every arena. And so the main question that I have that concerns me personally, because I deal with it quite a lot, has to do with the responsibility and risks of having the AI enter the defense. How the efforts of having AI, of using technology in the battlefield, AI technology that is, how do we balance correctly between maintaining human control for critical decisions and between technological autonomy? And is it responsible to us generally to turn to have robots enter, and is would the robot brain, so to speak, will start working against us? So Hilla, please start. In the defense world, AI erupted together with the creative AI that I think nobody was surprised here, because for many years the technological world and AI dealt with autonomy and robotics and everything. And I think that it is more sober and realistic than the civil world regarding the line, the responsibility, where it takes the place of a person, of a human. And I think that when it comes to that, this would prove to us that at the end of the day, technology on its own is not capable. It's okay that we can push a bit to the side the decision maker. It could go to to other command and control, to autonomous tools. We can have, instead of one on one, we can have several and on one, and the UAV world has been doing it for many years now. And it won't be different. It won't be very different. It will be different by pace, but not by essence, to any other autonomous system. And we should make sure, once again, that we are not confusing or generalizing between responsible AI in civil uses. How will an autonomous car make this or that decision, or a health system make this or that decision? And to take it and confuse it with the laws of war are different for good and for bad. It's a different conception of life and world, and it's a different situation. And so we need to discuss it, but we also need to distinguish clearly between what we decide in war, facing enemies in the battlefield, and what we decide for a car driving at a public road, or a robotic arm that is performing operations in a hospital. We are a very militaristic state, so I am concerned that this sort of discourse will enter the civil world, and there are different decisions that are right to be made in military world but shouldn't be made in the civil world, and vice versa. We should be careful with that. And I think that in the world of battle, AI will create dramatic changes, has already been creating them for many years now, but the pace during the past year, we can see that it has become much faster, significantly so. Roni, how do you see the same question? What is the right balance?
Yes, the fact that there's great opportunity, there's no question, of course. You can't underestimate the importance here. Certainly, when Gen AI starts to write code, the code is writing code, so the pace will be amazing. Two risks that we identified a few years ago. My personal experience, the first company that I was involved in with an investment in Oz, its role was to maintain the AI model. You have to remember the technological risks and security risks. That's one. That your model is still validated, that it's not biased, not only ethically, also professionally, so it continues and serves you, that you're babysitting it constantly to see that what was true before is still true. That's one company. Another company that makes sure that your model is not stolen, that people don't interfere with your model. This is extremely dangerous. It's a whole world in itself that now is beginning to emerge and understand and recognize its risks. We're starting to talk about that. These are two big dangers. As long as Gen AI enters more and more and the uses expand, even for the regular citizen, we all use this on a daily basis in a direct way. These dangers are huge. Startups must deal with this. The state needs to incentivize this, and the pace must be so big that if we don't deal with it in an intense way, we are facing a risk, as I said, professionally, security wise, and ethically in these fields of AI. So the opportunity must come with understanding the risks, and the startups must pounce on this because this is important.
Same question. How do you enter first the systems, and what are your guide rails?
Okay, so first I want to reach this issue from the perspective of opportunities, that we understand that the ability to take and arrange information in real time in a manner that is a million times faster than any person and make it accessible to the commander or to the fighter in real time, this is a true revolution. And this is where we're reaching. For several years, we're dealing, in fact, with how to bring or introduce AI into each and every one of our products, to each system, in ultimate support the decision of a person, of a commander. For instance, we're developing now the laser that we want it to be introduced at the end of the year. A system that, on the one hand, is very technological, and we're working on it for several years. On the other hand, you understand that with the technology of AI, you can dramatically improve its effectiveness. The point at which you want to point your laser, you can improve the ability of the operator to decide, or the commander decide, who can now shoot down what at what phase. It's a capacity of data that even the most sophisticated person can deal on his own. Only AI or autonomous systems that bring all these abilities together will reach optimal operational levels. I think this is a very important point. Of course, there are the risks, as discussed here. We always say that we support the decision. We always have a man or person in the loop that is accountable. If we pointed a laser or we shot down something or intercepted something, if we hit something, behind that decision, there's a human being. Many times we introduce a person, even though this person slows down the decision process, but we think it's important. This is very similar to air defense systems. A person must decide if it happens or not. This world is still in its infancy. I think one of the challenges of the State of Israel is to focus the abilities in this field. Here we have the startups that they are now beginning to turn the wheel. They're maybe going too fast, but the big challenge now, of course, Certain, we just got back from Abu Dhabi. We were in an exhibition there. We saw the world that is investing hundreds of billions of dollars in these abilities. The state of Israel, if we don't grasp this opportunity and stand national level efforts and using the security industries, we will find ourselves lagging behind everyone. So I think this is a wake up call for action.
I want to have enough time for one last question because we have a couple of more minutes, and I know that it's very relevant to you all. A question, a subject that is very close to me, that is the states and the independence and independence. With the states, our most important strategic partner for Israel, their military assistance has in fact supported us amazingly in this war as well, and has proven that it is our strategic important lean and crotch, and it's should we continue on relying on their assistance, or should we strengthen our independent, or both, also when it comes to change of supply? What are the challenges, Elbit, IAI, and soon we will also speak about lessening the dependence? What are the risks involved with that, and where is the right balance?
Complex question, and I think very important, that should be in center stage in the discourse at the national level. I think the United States and Israel are, are codependent. Certainly, it looks like the United States, of course, is the sponsor, and the dependence of the United States on Israel is very small. But I would like to demonstrate why it is right to look at this world that we demonstrated it in the AI innovation and the pace of change. What in the past the state of Israel, uh, how we related to dependence, how the United States depends on Israel. We demonstrated that what we were able to do with AI in closing small circles in Israel, this can't be done with all the efforts or all the abilities in the United States. I think this is a strategic opening for the leading forces of policy in Israel and the United States to expand this window and see what we will never be able to do, F-35, and why there we should be 100% dependent on the United States, and where we can do something that will be for the United States where they depend on us. Talking about generative AI or creative technology in the battlefield, with all the limits and parameters, as we said before, not only technologies, how we are able to use technology. I think there's an opportunity to change where the boundary goes of our total dependence on the United States, what should be produced in-house in Israel, and where we have a combined field, as we demonstrated here in this discussion, can be done sustainable and prolonged and have a codependence which is the best in several fields. Eytan, we started with you, we'll end with you. I will say that the last two questions are related, Shuki, related to this. Forever, we will need to maintain critical Israeli abilities. Arrow defense system, we must depend on ourselves. Iron Dome, we must defend on ourselves. Israel reached a strategic decision long ago that with our main platforms, we will not take it elsewhere. We saw this with the Lavi and IAI and our dependence on US platforms. Our technological advantage, our qualitative advantage, are Israeli systems that also use those systems. AI is a tsunami. If we don't ride the wave, it will bury us. It's a tsunami that begins or that contains huge opportunities. If it's the opportunities that we will be incorporated in these technologies and introducing AI with each and every system that we have. In AI, every system will have AI internally. And if we talk about data analysis, we bring huge amounts of data from our satellites. Without AI, you cannot assess it. You cannot find a needle in a haystack if you needed to bring it as a target. So if I take these two issues, we depend on the Americans with main platforms, maybe with munitions, but the trick here is the network abilities, the pinpoint abilities, the electronic warfare abilities, some advanced algorithms that will be made here will give us a qualitative edge with other competitors. Critical technologies must be Israeli, what we call blue and white technologies. We talk about the Americans, but look what happened in the world. We had a formal and informal embargo that halted our supply chain. If we don't talk about being creative, find special solutions that are in house, Israeli made, blue and white, we will have a problem to deal with the swift pace of battle. So, this war taught us we have to depend on ourselves in a way that will enable us freedom of action and decision making in real time. We spoke about Israel's advantages. This relates to things that Roni mentioned before. The dual use issue. With us in Israel, this is an extreme issue between civilian and military fields, including adopting AI abilities that are developed in startups, and we embrace them internally in the security fields. These abilities together, with codependence of platforms, will give us freedom of action that is huge for us and a qualitative and a dimension that we need. So, looking at the whole ecosystem of Israel, very vibrant startups, some of them in civilian fields, but applying them to military abilities, together with swift manufacturing systems, transitioning production lines to military issues. This is the key to the future. And don't be confused, AI will change all of us. There will be systems that we don't even envision today, autonomous systems. There will be jobs that will be replaced by AI systems. Besides risks, how you do trusted AI, etc. We talked about this before. So besides the risks, there are great opportunities. Together, this mix will give us huge advantages. So first, I want to thank you not only for this panel, but for your efforts in the last year in the fighting effort. And I want to say another word. This panel, I think, focused the idea that we need to think strategically, not only react, but create change. In the time of AI, each and every one of us can create change. And the industries, the security industries, demonstrated that this can be done and lead Israel and lead to qualitative military edge and help promote Israel financially and militarily. Thank you very much.